What is good, y'all? Welcome to Let's Cap. I'm your host, Ronald. You can now find me over at Wagertalk.com. You can also find my work over at Youcapper Sports on Twitter. Yeah, man. So it's been, like I said, I think we talked about this like Monday or something, but it's like always up and down in the NBA. Yesterday, I was feeling good. I had two plays. I had the Lakers and the Warriors first quarter under, and they went end up like it was looking good too until the last 2 minutes. They ended up scoring like 16 points in the last 2 minutes, I think it was. Man, it kind of sucked, and they ended up only going over by a point and a half. So that sucked. And then the other piece was I took the Knicks in the first half, and it's actually kind of correlated with today's game and also tomorrow's game with the home favorites losing in game one. But I took the Knicks to cover that first half, and then yeah, they got it done in the full game. I mean, I think some people was able to get to 5.5, right? A lot of people got 5.5 during the morning time, and then it jumped when Butler was officially out. So a couple things happened yesterday where I thought things were going to look good, and then they ended up, failing. So um, I still trust what I was betting though. Chris, how was your day yesterday?
Yeah, it was good, RC. And first off, shout out to you, man. Congratulations on getting over the wager talk, man. That's a humongous accomplishment, man. So y'all
Yes,
definitely
sir.
show my guy RC some love in the chat, man. That's a big, that's big. But as far as yesterday, RC, I gave out the Knicks. I was going back looking at it. I gave out the Knicks on Sunday. Just as soon as the game ended, as soon as they lost game one, I just, figured they make the necessary adjustments. It's a spot that
Yeah.
you typically back that spot, the home favorite. Coming off a loss as a home favorite at home when they're favored again. And then you see the line kind of change. So I got it at 5 on DraftKings. I gave it out to my YouTube membership at
Mhm.
5 on Saturday. And then on Sunday. And then I did add the first half yesterday as well. I got the 3.5. I don't know. See, we gotta do some talking off air about this New York Knicks team, man. I'm a little skeptical of them now, man. So that one didn't cash, but I was on the Lakers +5, +4.5 last night, and got there with that. So overall,
Yeah, yeah.
really really good day because the smaller bet was the first half. So hopefully we can kind of keep it going. I see. I'm trying to stay hot, man. Hot as fish grease.
Yeah, man. I appreciate everyone in the chat saying congrats, man. Definitely appreciate that. Everybody that's been rocking with me. Kind of, you guys know the person that I am. I'm just a hard worker. Even though I'm with companies that do sell picks, I always provide a lot of free information and all that stuff. And I love that you guys rock with me because of that. Jay, man, you can hop on. You have the link, bro. You can hop on if you want to. We only got one game to talk about, so it's not like we're gonna take a while. But you guys, I think the Knicks. I don't know, man. That then I feel like that game one is one of those, I wouldn't say like fluky kind of games, but I think going over to Miami, we know how Miami has been at home also as a favorite. They kind of struggled in that situation throughout the regular season. So if the Knicks can steal one in Miami, then it kind of comes back to being that the home court for the Knicks. And I think psychological aspect of it, I think they got this win out of the way. I feel like they're the more deeper team, in my opinion, because you look at Miami, they can't just rely on Jimmy Butler the whole time, right? Like the longer that game went yesterday or the other day in game two, the worse it got for Miami, and the New York Knicks kind of took over. So I think the longer the series goes, I think it benefits the Knicks a little bit more. So if they steal one in Miami, it turns into the Knicks being back in favor, in my opinion. That's kind of like my thought process. Let's go on to the game tonight. The Sixers and the Celtics here. I'm gonna share my screen. Go ahead and talk about what you see in this game, Chris, while I bring up the page.
Yeah, absolutely. So another situation I see. It's crazy how many times we've had this happen throughout the playoffs already. But another home favorite that loses game one, down
Yep.
goes home favorite in game one. We saw this in the first round. The Grizzlies lost against the Lakers in the first game. The Cavs lost in the first game as well to the New York Knicks when they came in and stole one. We saw the Lakers just do it again last night.
Hmm.
And we just talked about the Miami Heat, doing the same thing in Madison Square Garden on Sunday as well. Now we got the same situation, I see. So, you got it pulled up on the screen, but series game two, after, a home loss as a favorite and you're a home favorite again, what is
Yeah.
it, 69-16 RC straight up, 50 and
Yep.
34 against the spread. So covering about a 60% rate. I
Yeah.
think the other thing to take into consideration is, I look at the Celtics specifically. I think I talked about this last week on your show as well. I know I've been mentioning it a lot on my show, but the Celtics specifically, we talked about this the other day and why we wanted to take the points with Philly plus 9.5, plus 10 in game one.
Yeah.
They don't perform well. I don't know what it is. Psychologically, they do not perform well after a win in the playoffs. It's almost like they want to make their job more difficult than it has to be every single time. So if you go in, RC, and you look at the Celtics off a win since last season started, this team I think is 9-11 straight up and against the spread, or either 9-10 in this same situation. So
are you talking about including the regular season or
no, just the playoffs. This is playoff Celtic basketball. It's some of the weirdest stuff you've ever seen in your life. Let's look at after a win first, RC, because they were coming off the win. So this is why I can't trust the Celtics, especially laying double digits. They just don't. They just win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. But if you flip it, RC, to what you just had off a loss, this is when you want to back the Celtics. They're 9-0 straight up and against the spread in this spot. If you take out the 2 games against the Warriors in the finals where they kind of ran out of gas, the reason why they ran out of gas last year, I think we both agree, RC, is that they ran out of gas because they kept going to 7-game series when they couldn't put teams away when they were supposed to. So, this is I think a big motivational spot. You can't go to Philly, down 0-2, and B's supposed to be coming back today. Should take him a while to get acclimated. The Celtics may actually play them better with Embiid being there also. They finished 3-1 straight up, and I think against the spread as well throughout the regular season. So it'd be Celtics for me if I'm playing anything, but specifically it'd be first half, RC. And I'll take a break, take a breath, and let you talk about it. And then I want to jump back in a little bit and just talk about the 2 halves of the Celtics as well.
Yeah, so I mean, you touched on this one here, coming off of a loss in the playoffs. You can see how well they do in that situation. You can also see how well they do in the first half, right? Primarily in that first half is where that big gap is. If we go back to that league-wide trend that we talked about, pretty sure it was right here. So we talked about the loss as a home favorite, and then that they're a home favorite in game 2. If we look at more recent seasons, if we just say from 2018 till now, 18-4 straight up, 17-5 against the spread. If we look at that last game yesterday, I mean, like I said, they didn't cover that game. They ended up winning, but if you got that 5.5, they would have covered. I mean, a lot of people got that 5.5. Before Butler was officially announced out, you could have even pushed and got the 6 in most situations. So I think this trend still kind of holds true, even though it didn't. You get the L right here. I think the Celtics, and this is active on the Warriors again tomorrow too, but I think the Celtics get it done today. It almost seems, I want to say trifecta spot, shout out to Jay with the trifecta, but I do like them in the first half. I also like them on the full game for the Celtics side. You can see in this trend here that the bigger margin is in that first half, right? That's about a 10-point margin. We have a line of like -5 or -4.5 or -5 at most books for that first half. So that would be the way that I go here. I also wouldn't. I think they cover that full game as well. The 7.5, in my opinion, they get it done today. I also like to look towards the under. Did you? I was like kind of putting stuff down, but did you talk about the total at all? Because I'm thinking that this is an under type game. We looked at, you talked about how the Celtics and the Sixers matched up in the regular season, right? 1-3 straight up. I think it was Sixers 1-3 straight up, and then 0-4 against the spread. So the Celtics covered every single game, but also 3-1 to the under. Sure, I don't know why I'm just talking about it, but I could bring it up here. But all 4 of those games had Embiid, right? And then you see the one and how they match up without Embiid on the court. It almost seems like the Celtics do better with Embiid on the floor, because I think their rotation is already kind of solidified, right? Like we're probably going to see more Williams, right? Robert Williams. We're going to see a different type of lineup here in this game. The pace was really slow in that first game, but they scored efficiently, and that's what got them over, right? If I'm expecting more defense in this one, even if it's the same type of pace, they should go under by a big margin. What were your thoughts on the total here?
Yeah, I would only be able to agree, I see. I think Embiid definitely slows down the pace. And shout out to you. You're missing the S in season, I see. But shout out to you, because you talked about Philly team total being so low in the last game for game 1, and the pace increasing without Embiid. And we've seen that throughout the regular season. The Celtics don't want to play in the Philadelphia 76ers don't want to play in the half court if they don't have to without a Joel Embiid being there. So I absolutely love that angle. I see. I would only be able to look towards the under. I think Joel Embiid coming back today, he could be a bit rusty. He could have his minutes limited as well. And if those things are, hold true, then, we can't expect James Harden to go for another 45-point game. And outside of, him and I think DeAnthony Melton, who hit maybe 5 or 6 threes, also comes back down to earth in this spot as well. And you think about the desperation spot, that's when Boston typically plays their best defense. If you look at the query I sent earlier, RC, about the Celtics off a loss, that's typically when they play their best defense in the playoffs. So hasn't really held true that much this year, because even against the Hawks in round 1, they allowed them to go over their team total. But I think they get back to, more of their defensive ways in this spot. Mazzulla and the coaching staff, going to definitely make adjustments as well. And I think you just see some regression for the Philadelphia 76ers being able to shoot the ball with a slow pace. So I would look towards the under or nothing at all in this one, even with a low total. I see.
Yeah. I don't know why that's not working. I'll just bring up the regular.
I see. Go back to it. You had the wrong team. You had team equals.
Oh, gotcha.
Team, yeah.
I gotta flip it. My bad. The mic is in the way. I can't get my hand in there. All right, so flip that over. We look at the games without Joel Embiid. That was the playoff in. There you go. So they average around 117. I think the total right now is actually 117. But I think just this being in a playoff situation, right? We're gonna see. We have already seen the pace go even slower than in the regular season, and then the defensive side of the ball, I feel like that picks up as well here. I can only look towards the full game going under as well. I don't know if I want to touch it on like the first half or anything like that, but I think full game, this one goes under. The only way that this goes over, in my opinion, would probably be like if it's an OT game, but I think the Celtics smashed today. Did you talk about props already?
No props. Actually, one thing I wanted to mention too. Actually, I was looking at this exact query that you got up right now. In those 4 games versus Boston this year that Embiid did play, they averaged 106.5 points, which you see right there. In that first matchup, though, that was the first game of the season. I think that's something to kind of take into consideration. October 18th was the first game of the season. They scored, you see the 117 they scored there, but in all 3 other games, if you factor that game out, RC, they only had 103 points. They averaged 103 points in that, for context. So I think, I'm with you there as far as the total. I would play under or not play it at all, and you're banking on the Celtics, kind of getting back into their defensive form and seeing more Robert Williams, who, has the best plus minus defensive rating for this team, RC. So I'm there with you on the under as well.
I like it. Did you have any props for this one?
Yeah. So I got a couple I was looking at. RC. First one, and the one I like the most is it's a crazy one. I see nobody probably gonna want to tell this one, but PJ Tucker, dude had coming off a game where he didn't even shoot a shot, didn't score a point, didn't shoot a shot. Played 30. He did play 37 minutes though, I see, which is one of the reasons why I kind of like it, man. He did finish with 5 rebounds and 1 assist. His points, rebounds, and assists, RC, is only 9.5. So you just asking him to get 10 points, rebounds, and assists, and he's gonna be out there for 35, to 40 minutes tonight, pending, any kind of blowout. So he had 3 straight overs with Embiid playing. The last 2 games he did go under. We know that Embiid being in, it's going to generate a couple more, probably corner 3-pointers for him. And I do think that, after going not shooting the ball, he's at least going to shoot it. We're just looking for, 2 shots being made, maybe 1 shot, couple rebounds, and a couple assists in the spot. What else did I have in my notes? I see. So 4 games versus the Celtics this season specifically, played at least 25 minutes in all of them. He cleared the number in all 4 of them as well. And I think this number is, low because of how poorly he's been playing in the last few games. So, you just need a few rebounds. He's averaging 6 in the playoffs, RC. You need a few assists. He's averaging 2. And then you need 1 shot, like 6 rebounds, 2 assists,
That's
and 1
crazy.
shot. RC.
Zero attempts there. You would think that with Embiid on the floor, right? If that should open up some shots for PJ Tucker, right? I would think that would be happening because if that happens, right, and they double Embiid on in the post, someone's gonna get open, right? Like who's gonna rotate down? So it would probably be the guy on the in the corner, which is where PJ Tucker usually kind of just sits there in that corner three.
I think there's one more thing real quick. I think there's
Yeah,
some correlation to what you have on the screen as well. So those last two games that, just for the viewers, those last two games are the two games without Embiid, right? The Boston game and the Brooklyn game, because that was game 4, right? But those other
these two
games,
right here.
right? Those
Oh,
top
sorry,
two,
these two right here.
right?
Got you.
So he went under in those games, right? He doesn't have 10 in those games, but you can see the games with Embiid. He actually cleared those a little bit more. And kind of correlates with what we talked about. Also, like I said, he went 4 for 4 in the regular season. Yeah, his line's sitting at 3.5. Jay, I wouldn't touch it. I just played it. I played the points, rebounds, and assists.
What is his rebound props? Because the other thing too that might be correlated, Chris, just off of what you said, if the Celtics are worried about boxing out Embiid for the offensive rebounds or rebounds in general, that opens up the lane for Tucker to get those rebounds, right? So. What about his rebounds? Just specifically his rebounds.
4.5 is what I see. It's plus 108 right now.
4.5 rebounds plus 108. What do you think about that? Just rebounds.
I can see it. What if we type in? What if we put playoff game log with Embiid, or just his game log with Embiid? I'm just interested to see if if he gets some with Embiid being in there.
All right. So playoffs, yes. Right. Let's go to regular season.
Brooklyn also just couldn't make a shot. They were terrible. I think that's difficult, RC, because his minutes. Look at his minutes.
Yeah,
right. Like he just don't play as many minutes. Yeah, he played 37 minutes in game 1. I would expect him to play more than 30 minutes in this game. So I couldn't talk you off. Could not talk you off at all.
Got you. You would think that Harden's numbers would probably be inflated today.
Nah, they weren't. I looked at him already. I wanted to smash his under. I think his whole PR. He had 45 points in the last game. His whole PRA line today is only like 34.5. So the books did a good job of not putting it up too high, because I was definitely going to be looking towards the under on Harden today.
Yeah. Thoughts on Derek White over, just because he was kind of a big part of that first series, and then he was a no-show, well, sort of like a no-show in the game 1.
Should be a bounce back, RC, I would say. I know that I gave out his line on the podcast with Munaf last week when they were finishing off Atlanta, I think. So I couldn't talk anybody off, playing them in a bounce back. The problem for me, RC, with trying to pick one of those guards, like a Marcus Smart or Derek White or Malcolm Brogdon, it really could be any of them, Like that's the way I kind of see it. And I actually like Marcus Smart a little bit more than Derek White today. His points, rebounds, and assists at 19.5. Look up Marcus Smart real quick, RC. Points, rebounds, and assists at 19.5. I talked about this one on the podcast with Munaf earlier as well. Line that he's cleared in 5 of his last 6. The only game he stayed under was that game where he only had 8 shot attempts. In every other game, he shot at least 11 times. And he's cleared this number pretty easily. I think he'll continue to get the looks with Tatum and Brown, drawing most of the attention tonight. He's averaging 9.5 rebounds and assists and 16.7 points in the playoffs. So that that's good for 24 points, rebounds, and assists. I like him just to be involved tonight, RC, and to have another big game.
Who was on him for the most part in game 1? I didn't get to catch the full game, but was Melton on him for the most part, or was it Maxey?
No, he's the one that's getting Maxey. Melton is a pretty good defender, so they're gonna have to put him on Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum.
That's what I was thinking. So I was wondering if because he had 6 turnovers, I was wondering if it was because of Melton on him, if Melton was on him. It was mostly Maxey?
Yeah, it was mostly Maxey. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, I was making sure. It looked like I went out a little bit, but yeah, I would say he get like, so the other thing I see is like they do a lot of switching, right? So Marcus Smart just gonna have his opportunities, and I feel like if he's continuing to shoot the ball that many times, this number should be easily attainable. 19.5. I would also play it at 20.5 as well. Is it 20.5? Like pretty much even money on a lot of books. 19.5 is a little juiced at minus 123 on Caesars.
Smart. Yeah, but you're right though. It's always tough to pinpoint which guy is going to be it for the Celtics after Tatum and Brown. All right, so do you want to touch on tomorrow's game at all? Do you have time to do that?
Yeah, sure. Let also RC one more thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Jason Tatum rebounds plus assists, something that he historically he gets against this team. Rebound numbers are going up through the roof. He's also facilitating a bit when he's not shooting the ball every single time. I think he's
yeah.
cleared number 6 of his last 7 games. RC, it's a prop that I was on in game 1, and I'm gonna go back to it in game 2 as well. Uh,
Tatum.
Tatum rebounds plus assists,
What was the number?
13 and a half.
Wow,
Um,
more than expected.
Yeah, well, it's mostly because of the matchup. I think. I see if you type in his
The
game
pace.
log,
It's a pace, right? Pace. The
I think
pace with.
more so a matchup. I think it's a good like he just does it against this. I played it earlier this season when they played against each other. So if you type in his game log against them specifically against the Sixers,
Mhm.
he just for some reason it's a good matchup for him. He typically doesn't score as many points, but he fills up the stat sheet for sure.
Got you. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense there. All right, let's go. All right, let's go. Anything else on that one before we go to the Lakers one?
Nah.
All right. Jason Tatum can be called a rebounder. Yeah, he's been getting a lot of rebounds. All right, so Lakers versus Warriors here. We talked about that trend earlier, right? The home favorite off of a home favorite loss. That is active again on the Warriors here. I can only look towards them to bounce back, right? Other than that, dude, like it's just I was talking about this on the triple double. We kind of touched on it in the chat as well, Chris. Like it's a stylistic matchup here that they're just two opposite teams, right? One team shot like 53 pointers, the other team scored majority of their points in the paint and went to the free throw line. Like if the Warriors are going to continue to play that the way that they do, right, and not get to the free throw line, like they shot 6 free throws in that first game. There's no way that they can compete against this Lakers squad. So obviously the Warriors are experienced. They're going to make the the changes from game to game. So I do expect them to win this game 2 here, in my opinion. Um, Probably cover that game as well. I think they do. This is gonna be a true zigzag here in both of these series, in majority of these series in the second round. What are your thoughts on that Lakers game and Warriors?
The same exact thing that you said, RC. I think the Lakers had a really good advantage in game 1 with the Golden State Warriors not being able to close out the Sacramento Kings on Friday
Yeah,
night because the series was actually supposed to start on Sunday. And for some odd reason, Golden State allows Sacramento to push them into game 7, and then they come in as the least rested team.
mhm.
One of the biggest reasons why I really liked the Lakers yesterday is because it was Steph Curry, the best player on the floor for Golden State, that had to do so much for that team. RC, that 50-point performance. Me and you talked about it. We talked about this after we did the show on Monday. We talked
Yeah,
about
yeah,
taking
yeah.
Steph under. I was too scared to do it, but it
Mhm.
cashed, right? Under 31 and a half points cashed last night. I think you see a big bounce back from him. And there's a reason too, RC, why Steve Kerr, I think is it 16-0 or 19-0 against the Western Conference. This dude goes to the finals every single year, and his ability to be able to make adjustments. So AD killed Looney. I think that could continue to happen as long as AD has that mindset. But
Yeah,
I mean, it won't be that easy. I think Looney is too slow. Draymond's too small, but they'll definitely have some zones in there. The Lakers shot 1 for 8 from the 3-point line, and I think they're definitely gonna have some zones, being a part of that to see if the Lakers can actually knock down shots, which they weren't
yeah,
able to do in the last game. So I think you see, Kerr makes the adjustments. Also in the first half, last point I'll mention, in the first half, you see Golden State try to run a lot of off ball stuff for Steph. RC, like Steph was coming off a lot of screens trying to get him the ball, and then it wasn't working. It wasn't effective. So fourth quarter,
mhm.
they said, Steph, you go back to a traditional point guard. You bring the ball up the court because you can shoot off the dribble. You can create yourself. And that's when, they started their run, their 14-0 run late last night. So I
Yeah,
think the Warriors make the adjustments, and it's a short number, RC. The Lakers were in this spot in the series 1 against the Grizzlies, and they got
yeah.
smoked in game 2. So I think it's just,
Very
it's that
similar situation.
it's
Yeah.
the complacency versus the sense of urgency. Golden State can't
Mhm.
go to LA down 0-2 with their road flaws for this series. Not that they can't win a game, but you don't want to put yourself in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
situation.
You
So that's the only thing I'll add, RC.
you could also look at the minutes distribution too. I talked about this on triple double. I think AD had like 43 minutes and LeBron had 40. And you look on the Warriors side, nobody went past 37 minutes. I don't think so. I mean that I wouldn't say that that's a huge factor, but also that's not going to be that's probably not going to work for the Lakers if this goes seven games, right? Like um AD and LeBron was pretty much were questionable and probable all season long, and for them to play consistent 40 plus minutes, I don't think that's going to be sustainable. I would think that they're going to be content with stealing one already. They're probably going to not. I don't think we see LeBron and AD play 40 plus minutes again in game two, unless it's really close in the fourth quarter, right? Then they're probably going to have to force that and try to steal. If they're in situation to steal a second one, they're probably going to push it, right? But if not, and they feel like they're going to be defeated, then I would say that they're probably not going to get over the 40-minute mark. Um, so the Warriors, I feel like they're gonna have a lot more sense of urgency here. But this is, I'll show you why I like that first quarter under yesterday. But for the most part, so if we look at this is the playoffs specifically, and this is prior to yesterday's game, right? So you can see the defensive rating in the first quarter in the playoffs, the Lakers 92.5. That is really good compared to the regular season, right? And if you look at 99.5 here for the Warriors, the reason why that's impressive is because they did it against the best offensive team in the league, which was the Kings, right? So you can see like in the first round of the playoffs, defensively in the first quarter, they came out strong. And if we look at them from a trend perspective or just like from a regular season perspective, right? We go to Warriors here and we go after the All-Star break and at home. We know how well they do at home typically in the regular season, but what I wanted to focus in on, take out we take out the playoffs there. For the most part, they were their lowest scoring output for them specifically was in the first quarter, their offense, right? So then we go on the opposite side, we say the Lakers. We go after the All-Star break and so on the road, it was the same for them. Their offensive output, actually, let me include the first quarter and the playoffs. With or without the playoffs included, their lowest output on the road was that first quarter as well. So that's the reason why I like that first quarter under. And like I said, if it wasn't for that crazy like outburst of 16 points in the last 2 minutes, that would have hit pretty easily, in my opinion. I think they hit like 6 straight shots, like 3 threes, and then a couple of dunks and layups. And then they only go over by a half, 1.5, like a half a bucket basically. So I'm probably gonna go back to that tomorrow. The first quarter under. I think if it's gonna be a true zigzag, that's probably how it's gonna work out. So I'm probably gonna go that first quarter under again, and then look towards the Warriors to take game two. That's probably the way that I'm gonna go tomorrow. Any other thoughts on this one before we cut out here?
My question for you, RC, was going to be: Are you going back to it? And I think you absolutely go back to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you look at the Lakers in the playoffs after that road win when they played the Grizzlies in the second game and they got smoked, I'm pretty sure they didn't score any points in that quarter. So I think you see the complacency, and I think you also make a really good point, RC, from a prop perspective. I haven't looked into this yet. But I think, probably looking at AD, it's going to sound crazy to people, but looking at his points, rebounds, and assists to go under tomorrow, just because if if the Lakers do come out complacent, Golden State's hitting a bunch of 3-pointers in the game, they don't play their full minutes, like you said, especially with him playing more minutes than anybody. I don't think he came out in the second half yesterday, I see.
It's crazy.
So I think, under on Anthony Davis. Also, if you go in and look at StatMuse and you look at Anthony Davis' playoff game log, it's just back and forth, right? Game 1 over, game 2 under, game 3 over, game 4 under. So until he can prove that he's, consistent, I think you have to look at AD to go under. As painful as that sounds, I'm trying to make money and that's my team. But I think you got to look at his under. I see. I think it lines with that first quarter that you talked about. He also just shot astronomically well. We got to mention that as well. I see. Dude was like 9 for 10 to start the game. He was hitting the mid range, which is what Golden State wanted him to shoot because they don't want him getting to the rim. He was driving by Looney, so I don't think you see as an efficient, Anthony Davis. In the books may put his numbers up just a tad bit. I'll probably look at points, rebounds, just to go under tomorrow for AD. I think it aligns with your first quarter. And I think it also aligns with Golden State. I'm probably going to pull the trigger on Golden State as well, being that it's a short spread because they typically, take care of business there. I see for sure.
Yeah, I think another thing to think about too, if the Warriors make an adjustment in this game, you would think that one of the adjustments would be to attack the paint, right? Maybe work that in there. I know obviously it's going to be tough with AD there being one of the best defensive players in the league, especially protecting the paint. But you can't go another game just shooting 6 free throws, and they're not gonna. The Lakers shown that they've been playing pretty good in game one. They played really good perimeter defense, right? It seemed like they're. I would say you can't rely on them to foul in the perimeter, right? So they're gonna have to attack the paint to get any kind of foul calls, and that would, if anyone's going to be there, it's going to be AD. Would you think AD gets into foul trouble early here, and that kind of plays a role into that under as well?
Hey, the national media and the NBA want to see that because they, any way they can get, this series to be tied up and go 1-1, they absolutely going to take advantage of it. And I think the Lakers did get a little bit of a favorable whistle last night, but when you're shooting 40 plus 3-pointers, you're not going to get a lot of free throws. Exactly. And shout out to AD because when he plays with that mindset, RC, he had 4 blocks last night. When he plays with that mindset, we see him locked in and he is altering shots. But like I said, also, Steph coming off a 50-point game with only 1 day of rest in between, RC, he's going to be a lot more efficient and a lot more effective. Steve Kerr's going to make a lot more adjustments in this game. And I do think, with everything we're saying, that it's definitely a Golden State Warriors spot. I didn't play it yet, but, I'm probably going to lay the points with Golden State. That'll probably be my heaviest bet for tomorrow. Because I don't see the dog that the Lakers have. They don't have that dog to say, you know what, let's go get 2. I just don't see it. I see it. Would it be in a short spread? Typically, I don't like laying 7.5 points with Golden State at home, but 3.5, 4.5, I think I'm, more inclined to do that. And we we see, RC, we see Coach Ham post game say, we did what we were supposed to do. We came in here, we got one. Right.
That's what I'm saying. That the whole complacency with taking one, especially if it's game 1 of the series as well as the road dog. So a lot of that stuff makes sense. Even just that trend in general of this, the home favorite and coming after the home favorite loss in game 1, it all makes sense to me. Just from a psychological aspect to the game, right? They want to reserve some energy going at home, right? If they stole game 1, and they be complacent in game 2 from to a certain extent, even if they lose game 2, they still got home court advantage now because they got 2 straight at home. The other thing too is just the fact that they're not traveling a lot either, right? Going from road to home, they're both in California, so that's gonna be another I think capping aspect that we got to think about too. There's not going to be a huge travel going from road game to home game, so that's another thing to look at. All right, man. We've got we what are we gonna do for tomorrow, Chris? We already talked about the damn game.
We're gonna do baseball.
We can talk about baseball tomorrow. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. With that said, Chris, let's go to your top looks and then any closing comments you want to leave for the viewers here.
Yeah, so Boston, man, I talked about wanting to go back to this just a tad bit, RC, but I think you got to look at them first half full game in this spot. They can't go down, super desperation spot. I think they make the necessary adjustments. The things that I didn't mention, RC, and a little bit more of a reason why I lean towards the first half versus the full game. Here's just some quick numbers that I looked at, just kind of separating Boston from first half to second half. So first half numbers through 7 playoff games, RC. This is the first half. They're first in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, first in net rating, 5th in assist percentage, first in turnover to assist ratio, and they're second in fewest turnovers allowed, first in effective field goal percentage. But in that second half, RC, that's where they get a little bit more complacent. In the second half, they're 12th. Now, keep in mind, it's only 16 teams in the NBA that even got to this point. They're 12th in offensive rating, 11th in defensive rating, 12th in net rating, 10th in assist percentage, 14th out of 18th in assist to turnover ratio. So they just don't take care of the ball as much in the second half, and it leads to easy buckets for the other team. They're also 13th in turnovers. They turn the ball over a lot. 5th in effective field goal percentage. So I think Boston first half is the better look because typically that's where they play their best brand of basketball, especially off a loss at home. So if I'm playing anything today, RC, I'm taking Boston. I haven't put this bet in, but I'm taking Boston in the first half. And then I also like the underlook that we talked about, expecting them to be able to kind of figure it out defensively. Slow down James Harden. D'Anthony Milton doesn't have as big of a game. And then prop wise, my guy PJ Tucker, RC, it's a spicy one. Over 9.5 points, rebounds, and assists is plus 100 on BetMGM. I just think he's gonna make a couple shots. I'm not asking him to make 10 shots. I'm asking him to make one, grab a couple rebounds, and get a couple assists in this game. So I like him. I like Marcus Smart to go over his points, rebounds, and assists at 19.5. And Jason Tatum, rebounds and assists over 13.5 RC, something that he does, really, really well. He's going to be out there. The minutes will be there for him. The opportunity will be there for him as well. So those are the 3-player props that I like the most in this game. Like you said, I like the under. And first half, I think, is more so a little bit better than the full game, RC, but couldn't talk anybody up playing, laying the points with him. If I play the game, it's going to be first half.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna. I already took that first half as well. I also took the full game on the Celtics. I think the Celtics make a statement. I mean, I think they make a statement today. That's the way that I'm thinking. There's no way that they could just go through and try to get the win here. I think they have to make a statement to kind of give them some momentum going to that game 3 because they're already down, but basically lost home court advantage. So they need to have some type of momentum going into heading to Philly. So I took the first half and the full game. I want to get there with the under as well. I'm probably going to get there with the under as well. If you guys want to pivot maybe and just take one bet, I think maybe one way to go is the Sixers to go under their team total, right? I think that would be a perfect pivot if you want to just take everything and combine it into one play. I think that would be the way to go.
RC, real quick, what number did you get for the first half?
I got -5.
Okay.
Right now, so I was a little bit late, but I think I think I could have got it at 4.5 as soon as it went down way after Embiid news. But it quickly jumped to 5 for me. Right now, it's juiced at -5. Earlier I got it at minus. I got it at -105. So right now
Nice.
I see it at -115.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I got it there. I think they get it done in my opinion. So that'd be the way that I go in that game specifically. We'll probably talk about the Lakers game again a little bit tomorrow, and then hopefully touch on some baseball as well. So we'll figure out what game we want to talk about tomorrow in baseball. With that said, Chris, I know you got your spaces later. You're doing spaces again later, right? Yeah. So make sure you guys tune into Chris's spaces. You got, I think it's at what 2:30, 2:45 around there. Other than that, guys, I'll be on the Wagertalk NBA tip off today. So and Jay and Ski is going to be on the show as well. So if you guys want to tune in there, the 3 of us will be on the show over at Wagertalk, the NBA tip-off show. I think it's at like 1:15 around that time. So with that said, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button before you go. And always got to end the show like this, whether you fade us or follow us. It is on you guys to make that call. Good luck with our reaction. Till next time. Peace.